You know, I debated a few times whether I should make this video, but because I've always been transparent about this process, it was only right that I did. As you saw in the last episode, we installed the windows and external doors. That meant that we could finally move to the next stage, which is preparing for plastering. Before you can plaster, you need to install electrical conduits and complete all the plumbing that will be buried inside the walls. So this is where we are now, and things got wrong pretty fast. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm documenting the journey of building a home in Zimbabwe while living abroad, sharing the progress, the mistakes, and the real costs involved. You can see here we're getting ready to chase the walls and inset the electrical conduits. And right there is my trusted generator, which I bought for $150 at an auction. It's probably my best purchase, and it has paid itself many times over already. The markings you see on the wall, those X's, are positions where myself and the electrician agreed to place lights and plug sockets. One thing I strongly believe in is that you can never have too many plug sockets. I hate going into a space where you're constantly struggling to find somewhere to plug things in. Plug points do not get in the way, so in my view, the more the better. You can see the electrician here starting to cut into the walls using a grinder. Once the openings are cut, the conduits are placed inside. You know, in my opinion, this is definitely a stage where it helps to be present on site, because you want your sockets in the right places, and you might want things like switches to be well positioned as well. Most of the conduits that connect rooms are run on the timber and will be hidden by the ceiling, so that's not a problem really. This is the most common and traditional way of doing it. I have seen some people run conduits under foundations, but honestly, I can't wrap my head around the idea. We are using PVC conduits here, which is very common. There are other options like steel or metal conduits, usually used for exposed or industrial setups. I'm sure there's probably a machine that makes chasing walls easier, because the way these guys are doing it seems to be a bit labor intensive. You know, cutting and then manually hammering out the sections. Once the conduits are in place, they add mortar to secure it, ready for plastering. The guys have made good progress here. You can see we have plenty of plug sockets, especially in the area that will eventually be the entertainment space in the cottage. You can also see the DB box installed. A DB box, or a distribution board, is where all the electrical circuits for a building are controlled and protected. Each building will have its own DB box, which is important for safety and maintenance. As part of getting ready to plaster, we also fixed the door issues you saw in the previous episode. And you can see here at this point, all the electrical conduits are in. We also completed the plumbing for the kitchens and bathrooms. You can see the plumbing for the sink, the toilet, the bathtub in this bathroom. Ideally, you would have a plumber involved consistently, so you do not need to drill or redo the work later, but coordinating that is not always realistic, especially when building in stages. In the cottage, the kitchen sink pipes are in. In the ensuite bathroom and toilet, the sink and toilet plumbing is done. And you can see here the shower unit has also been plumbed in. Outside, all the groundwork plumbing has also been completed. The gullies are installed, which will collect all the wastewater from the sink, bathtubs and showers. The large pipes sticking out there are placeholders for toilet waste pipes, which will eventually be connected to the sewage line. At this point, we're officially ready to plaster, and this is where the disaster begins. At the time, there was almost no cement available in Zimbabwe. The few places that had some stock were selling it at $20 a bag. Well, I was offered 150 bags by somebody I know for a reasonable price, so rather than waiting for the situation to stabilize, when you're building from the Diaspora, time is expensive, so I accepted. The first mistake I made was not asking how old the cement was and how long it'd been sitting there, and the second mistake I made was not telling the builder where the cement came from. It turned out the cement had been sitting for well over 3 years. So, plastering started. I was happy because we're reaching a stage I felt like was a major milestone. I had no idea what was coming. Within a couple of days, the cottage was almost fully plastered externally. The builder raised concerns and told me that he thought something was wrong with the cement, and after doing some research, I knew I was in trouble. We tried to adjust the mix ratios to add strength, but it didn't help. If anything, it made things worse. I always say this: own up to a mistake early and fix it instead of burying your head in the sand. There was no way I was going to plaster over a bleeding wound. Everything had to come off. You can see here the 2-day-old plaster literally turns to powder when scratched. A complete disaster. And look at this poor guy here, completely exhausted from removing the failed plaster. All that useless mortar was shoveled up and used to fill the potholes at the front road. At least the Ministry of Road benefited from my mistake. Fortunately, I managed to source some fresh cement from somebody who got it directly from PPC at a reasonable price. And normally, this is where I tell you how much something cost. This time, it's actually how much I lost. Between the expired cement, transport, wasted pit sand, river sand and labor, I lost at least around $2,000 US. You win some, you lose some. I just had to get up, dust myself and move on to the next job. Some people may ask why I could not get a refund for the cement. Well, I wish it was that simple, but it's complicated. If you're enjoying this series, please consider subscribing. It really helps to grow the channel. There's still a long way to go. I'll continue to be transparent about everything, including the wins and the painful losses. And this is all I have for you this time, guys. So catch you in the next one. Peace.